first panel of the day is entitled Starting and Running a Successfully Women-Owned Business. Absolutely vital topic, and the sustainability and capacity of our women-owned business is amazing. So I'm here to introduce our moderator for this panel. I'd like to introduce Cindy Benavides. Cindy Benavides is an attorney. She's been practicing law 17 years and a small business owner here in Weslaco. For over 7 years has owned a law firm here in Weslaco. Very proud of the fact that she's this year's Weslaco Chamber of Commerce Woman of the Year. How about a round of applause for that? Yeah. Cindy has many, many accolades. She recently won, she was awarded from the Hidalgo Bar Association the Pro Bono Service Award, and also serves on the Texas Lawyers Insurance Exchange. Yeah, I knew my notes were getting pretty sloppy towards the end, but regardless, we have a great moderator and a great panel for you. So with that, please, let's welcome Cindy to the podium.
Thank you. Thank you very much. As mentioned, my name is Cindy Benavides, and I own Benavides Law Firm here in Weslaco, Texas. My name is spelled correctly, but if you search me up and Google me, which I hope you'll Google me, and I hope you'll Google all these fine ladies today, it helps all of our businesses when you Google us, and it helps all of our businesses when you follow us on social media. So when you Google us, my last name is spelled Benavides with an S, okay? So thank you all for being here today. I know I've spoken to the panelists. They're excited to be here and to share their insights with you. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves, starting with your name, ladies, the name of your business sector, and how many years you've been in operation. Pam, do you want to start?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steele. I am the business owner of a restaurant here in Weslaco called Lefa House. It's a Vietnamese restaurant, along with my mom, who is the chef. She cooks everything. I do the business aspect of it. So I am the manager, the server, dishwasher, janitor, all of the above, marketer, promoter. And we've been in business now for 4 years as of this month. We started during the pandemic. But my entrepreneurship journey started a little over 10 years ago. I graduated from the Art Institute of Dallas. I majored in business and design. And outside of my restaurant life, I'm very active in wellness. I'm also a Pilates instructor. I teach at the My Body Pilates studio in Harlingen and occasionally teach here at the Harlan Block Park here in Weslaco. I'm a loving wife, and I have 2 amazing dogs that I absolutely adore, Lonnie and Bam Bam. Happy to be here.
Marcia, you want to start next?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marcia Acosta. I am the owner of a location here in Weslaco called El Dorado Restaurant. We've got a second flagship restaurant in Alamo called El Dorado Restaurant. We also have another restaurant in San Juan called El Rancho Grande Restaurant. And we've got Rail Yard 83 Ice House in Alamo that we also opened up during the pandemic. That's a different variation of our Tex-Mex restaurants. And we also are property owners and landlords, so we've got a portfolio of real estate. I'm a real estate broker associate with Coldwell Banker La Mansión in McAllen as well. I've been in the business, I've been in the business, the real estate business for about 11, 12 years, and the restaurant business about 25 years.
Rosemary, you want to go ahead?
What an honor it is to sit up here with these ladies. They have accomplished a lot. And I am Rosemary Ellis. I am the owner of Ted's Borderland Hardware, formerly known as Borderland Hardware. When it was called Borderland's Hardware, it was owned by David Whitley, and my husband had a dream. The hardware store was his dream. I am the one who inherited his dream, and I'm carrying it forward. It has been 5 years that I have been running the business by myself. I do have some help with my boys, but I've been doing this for about 5 years. And our business has been in existence since 1919. And Weslaco is a little over 100 years old. And so I was told that our business is the oldest business in Weslaco. And so with that, so taking on the business that has that title, there is a great deal of stress because I want to keep it going. And so did the owner that owned it before. And so he passed it off to my husband, who passed away just 4 months after we finalized purchasing the business. And so I would just like to say that at first I had great angst about it, but now it has been a great blessing in my life. And I'm so happy to serve Weslaco.
Ladies, all of y'all mentioned the pandemic. And can I get everybody in the crowd who owns a small business or owns a big business, owns a business, to raise their hand real quick? And how many of you, keep your hand up if you made it through the pandemic? I think that's amazing. We owe all of ourselves a round of applause for all of us who made it through the pandemic. Because not every small business did. And so I commend you all for staying open even after the fact. I know it was tough. I personally made it through the pandemic as well. Also, I also own Edwards Abstract and Title Company here in Weslaco, the Weslaco location. And I opened that March 2020 when the pandemic hit. And so we were training a whole new area of our practice then. And so it was definitely a challenge. And that's going to be my segue into the next question. And this one's for you, Pam. What unique challenges specifically have you faced as a woman in your industry, and how have you overcome it?
That's such a powerful question. I've experienced a lot of challenges. Can you hear me clearly? Yeah, okay, awesome. I've experienced a lot of challenges, but the one that happened to me just recently, it's really personal, but I think it's important to talk about it and bring awareness to this topic. I experienced an ectopic pregnancy last summer, and I'm still trying to learn how to cope with it. It's very challenging to go through that. My baby was, for those that don't know what that is, my baby was implanted in my fallopian tube to where it was growing, and the tube ruptured, where I had to go into the ER right away and go into surgery, and I lost.
It's okay, take a deep breath.
Yeah, so that happened, and it's hard to go through that and learn how to deal with it and run a successful business at the same time. So I'm just really grateful for my team, for my family, for my husband, just everyone that I work with, even our customers that have become an extended family as well. And I think talking about it has helped me so much. So that's the first thing that can come in the top of my head right now is that was by far the most challenging thing that I've gone through.
Thank you, Pam. I think her sharing this story is crucial, especially for women in business, because there are so many things that women specifically go through that men do not. We go through pregnancies, we go through the postpartum of that, we go through losses of pregnancies. Our bodies are just physically made different, and we go through so much more. As we age, we go through menopause. Men don't go through any of this. And so it is a challenge for us. And so for those of you who are women and think, this is difficult, I can't do all this, God made us strong enough to handle it. And if you have the right support team in place, you're going to be able to get through it with that support team and faith, of course. Ladies, do you have anything further to add? Do you want to talk about any unique challenges specific to being a woman that you have faced? No? Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next question. This one's for you, Rosemary. As a woman business owner, how do you, balance the demands of running a business with the other aspects of your life? You want to, we mentioned a loss. You mentioned grieving your husband, your boys, you have a family. And of course, just your personal hobbies and whatnot. Can you tell us a little bit about balance?
So balance is one of those things that we all want in our lives. And, for me, there's 4 core things that I need to do every day in order to be successful. And I go to bed at night and I say, did I do these 4 things? And if I did these 4 things, I know I'm doing what I need to do. First and foremost, and as crazy as it may seem, and sometimes even selfish, we have to take care of ourselves. If you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be good for other people. And so for me, taking care of myself, yes, I do put Christ first, but secondly, I have to think about myself. I need to do what's best for myself so that I feel good, pour nutritious things into my heart, pour nutritious things into my soul and into my body. And if I'm not doing that, I cannot serve and serve well. So that first and foremost. Secondly, I need to be organized, and the best way to be organized is to, for me, write it down, because I'm a little older than most of these ladies sitting up here, but write it down, have a calendar, and do things routinely. Do those things to maintain. And so maintaining is so important. So if I could maintain all the things that I need to do that first. Then I tell myself, I need to serve others, do something for somebody else. If I do something for somebody else, I just feel so much more successful. So those are 3 of those main things, and then I'm trying to think of what that 4th thing was. Maintain yourself, maintain your schedule, do something for somebody else, and if you can manage all of that, the last thing you want to do, for me, is do one thing a day that helps me to get ahead just a little bit. Because if you do one thing a day to get yourself a little bit ahead, it makes the next day so much easier. So for me, it's those 4 things.
Thank you so much. Ladies, do you have anything that you want to talk about which helps you achieve balance?
I would like to add to that. I feel that one of the other crucial things when you are running multiple businesses, you obviously cannot be everywhere all at once every single day. So it's important to have the right team, and in that you want to delegate some of the stuff off your plate, because you can't accomplish everything by yourself. You might want to try to do that at the very beginning and have your hand in every single bowl. It's just not possible. The best thing to do is find the right team and delegate some of this not as important stuff to someone else so you can focus on what's important.
I 100% agree with these ladies. It's really finding that rhythm that works for you, setting those boundaries, and making sure that you take care of yourself. Because if you can't take care of yourself, it's difficult to go out there and take care of others. So that's really crucial. And writing it down. I have to write down, okay, if I'm gonna do this for myself, I see it, I got to do it, schedule it way in advance, and I know and commit to that, and just having an accountability partner to make sure that you stay on track with your goals too.
Thank you. For myself, what I would say, if you've been listening to these ladies, each of them has mentioned that they don't just do their one job, the restaurant or the restaurants. They're doing restaurant and Pilates as like a side job or a side hobby. They're doing restaurant and brokerage, managing multiple restaurants, and also being a realtor and managing real estate. Rosemary's running a very old business that's been around for forever, and I'm sure managing other stuff. The same is true for me. I have 2 businesses that I run out of my office. I also manage our own real estate, and I sit on a statewide board, which is a 4th job because they actually pay me to do that. And so for me, I have not learned balance. I'm not gonna lie. I have not learned it. I am overbooked right now. This is one of 3 speaking events I have in the next 30 days. And I'm headed to Chicago for board stuff at the end of the month. So I'm learning balance still. And you're gonna have times where you overbook yourself, and you're gonna have times where you find time for yourself. I personally am not great at self-care. I'm not gonna lie. My nails are never done. I don't do lashes because I cannot keep up with that. But what I do is, one thing Rosemary said was, I love to take care of other people. And my priority is my family. And my other priority, of course, I'm very religious, and I take care of my family. That's my second priority other than God. And I think if I ground myself in God and family, then I kind of feel like that's my self-care for now. And what I tell myself is that there are phases in life. This is a very busy phase of my life. I have a young family. But before I know it, I'm going to blink my eyes, and that's going to change. They're going to be out of the house, and I'm going to have all this time to do all the work stuff that I really want to do. And that's okay to find yourself sometimes imbalanced, but once you find yourself out of balance, try to find balance again. So what I told myself is I learned a lesson from overbooking myself these 30 days is I said, I'm going to say no to the next one, because otherwise, I'll have a mental breakdown. I'm not going to be any good to anybody. And so I think it's okay to be imperfect. Realize that you're going to make mistakes, and you can just get back on track, okay? Marcia, let's go to you for a minute. Can you talk, speaking of failures and setbacks and getting back on track, can you share a specific failure or setback that you've experienced in your entrepreneurial journey and what you learned from it?
Yeah, well, that's a hard one. How much time do we have? I mean, there's
a good 5.
There's been plenty of failures. But, as far as failures, first of all, in real estate, there's a lot of work that happens when you get contracts. Work happens prior to you getting a contract. So you get contracts. I was having a wonderful October one year, and it's funny how you remember when you fail, you remember specifics about the date. It was October anyway. And, contracts were coming in, another contract came in, 2, 3, 4, 5 contracts came in, plenty of work had already been done. And, different stages of the contract, there can be cancellations or you move forward at a certain stage. So one of the contracts that was under contract canceled, then another one canceled, and each contract at that time might have been worth about $5,000 per contract. So they started canceling. By the end of the month, I had 0 of those 5 contracts. It was horrendous. I felt like a failure, but my lesson learned from that was, well, what do I need to do? I need a better skill set. So, you've got to go back, go to training, understand what you're doing. The more you know about your business, the better you are for your client, for yourself, and answering questions. This question is a 2-part for me because another huge setback, which is the worst, was, again, in 2009, we went through a real estate crash, and this somewhat had something to do with one of the businesses that we owned and that we were running. It was a meat market at the time. We thought it was a great idea to own this meat market since we've got a restaurant, we buy in huge bulk, sell to ourselves, etc. Had a little bit of groceries as well. There's not a lot of margin in that. So you have to rely on volume. So that particular business was not doing well. We had to inject money from other businesses to keep that one afloat. We could only do that so long before it just came to a head. We had to make the worst decision ever, and quite embarrassing, to admit in public, but we decided to file for bankruptcy. It was excruciating. So we went through that, and what do you learn from that? If you go through that, you've got to absolutely learn from that mistake. And we learned to, watch every single penny, get organized, and most of all, at the end of the day, stick to what you know. That was the lesson. Stick to what you know. You might think that something's a great idea and some things might go hand in hand with your other business, but if you don't know it well enough, then do more research and stick to what you know.
Thank you so much. Ladies, do you have any specific failure that you'd like to I know it's embarrassing to talk about in front of a large group, but do you have anything that you'd like to share? That was really hard. It's really hard for us to get up here and, number one, talk and share experience, but to share a failure is even harder. During the pandemic, in the title industry, there was a lot of wire fraud going on. And that was a specific failure for one of our offices. And so it really shook everybody at their roots, because we're sitting here going, wow, hackers are literally hacking into our faxes. They're hacking into our wires coming in, and how can we better prepare for that? And that was really scary for me when I saw it happen to other offices, because I thought, this could happen to me. If it could happen to another office, it could happen to me. And what's going to happen? What is the liability if that happens? And so then we had to, at that point, I thought, maybe I'll just shut down the title side. There's too much liability going on over there with seller fraud, wire fraud, mistakes that can happen. And so that, like Marcia mentioned, you know, that's when you re-educate and you say, what kind of insurance can I buy? What kind of additional insurances can I buy? What kind of additional internal policies and systems can we put in place? And those failures, I am convinced, they can make you a stronger business owner. And I feel like that made me a better title company, because we have insurances in place to protect. We have seller ID checks. We have closing lock, which goes through a process, and sometimes the clients complain, but it makes us double check that all the wires are getting sent to the proper parties and are confirmed and insured. And so it is costly to do business, no doubt. It is scary to do business and to take big risks, but those big risks are needed in our community in order for us to give great customer service and options to our Weslaco community. So as scary as it might be to fail, sometimes we learn from those failures. Thank you, Marcia, so much for sharing. Speaking of risks, Marcia, I'm gonna go back to you on this one. And can everybody hear Marcia in the back when she's speaking? Are y'all good? Okay, good. Marcia, how do you approach risk-taking and decision-making in your business?
Well, as far as risk-taking and decision-making, we go through decision-making every single day, us at home and anywhere else. But you've got a lot more at stake when you're making decisions for your business. So basically, I would have to say we approach it through research and analyzation. What you want to do, and of course, again, you know, you've got small decisions, you've got big decisions to make, some more crucial than others, but for instance, small decision maybe won't have much of an impact, but if I decide in my business to add a new menu item, I've got to research and analyze just that. For instance, if I wanted to add pork chops into the menu, is that cost effective for me? Is that versatile? Can I use that in more than one way? Can it be other than just a dinner plate? Will I be able to use that throughout the day? And absolutely, we can offer it with, you know, sunny side up eggs in the morning, or we can offer it as a lunch special at lunchtime at a cheaper cost. So you know, recognize those things and move forward. And so again, you research and analyze. In the larger picture, the financial picture, you're doing great at your business and you decide that you come upon, maybe you want to expand to a second location. So you research, you analyze the community that you want to go into. Will that support your business? Is there another business similar to it offering the same product or service? Is there a hole in the market? Will I be of service to the people in that community? What do rents look like in that community? Do I want to build? Or do I want to buy? Do I want to lease? Do I want to lease over here? It might be a little more affordable. Do I want to pay a little bit more money and get exposure? There's so many things that will have an impact for bigger decisions like that. So my answer to that would be research and analyze before you take those risks.
Awesome. Ladies, do you have anything you want to add to that on risk taking? Okay. Let's shift gears here. Pam, you're our youngster on the panel. Let's talk a little bit about technology and using technology to streamline operations. How do you, in particular in your business, use technology to streamline your operations and to drive and grow your business?
Yeah, technology is so crucial. I feel like it's here to help us, not to hurt us, right? We started our business all through digital technology with social media. We built a whole restaurant within 5 months using Instagram and Facebook. How did we do that? It's mind-boggling to me till this day. Yeah, with like the tools that Instagram has, the polls, the questions, tagging, sharing, just documenting everything. Like for an example, being here at this event, my good friend Anastasia, she's a photographer, she's here somewhere. I'll be sure to connect with her afterwards, but she's documenting this event and it's great content for me to use on social media, right? So I use it as a tool to really help grow our business. I'm on it active every single day. We all have a cell phone, right? It's the first thing that we look at when we wake up and the last thing we look at when we go to bed sometimes, right? We even sleep closer to it than our spouse, right? So with that, I really take advantage of social media. I love social media, I have fun with it. I think that if you think about it too much, it's not fun anymore. So just have fun with it, and yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Perfect. Ladies, do you all use social media in your businesses? And if so, is it mainly pictures of restaurants and product, or is it more interactive with individuals? Rosemary?
I think it's kind of changed for me over the, I'm going to say 5 years, but I honestly was kind of a sleeper for 2 years. When my husband passed, I continued to teach and also do music ministry in a church. I have 30 years in the education field, and I have 22 years in music ministry, which didn't really, I feel like, lend itself well to the hardware store. But during COVID, I actually had to do all that during COVID, so I had 2 years of teaching in the classroom online and through portals, and it was just crazy for 2 years, and I sort of just let the store run on autopilot, and so during that time, I would just kind of pop in on social media, and of course, I was very nervous about doing that, because I'm an older person, and truthfully, I'm just waiting for the day when I can say, okay, I'm done with doing computer stuff and all that. I've learned as much as I can. I'm done, because it really makes me nervous. So getting on social media at that time, I was just kind of pushing out that, hey, we're here, and putting my face out there, and letting people know that there had been a change in who is running the business now. After that time, then I started trying to push out things that were kind of cute and clever that raised curiosity and got people interested. And I was really good at doing it because I was so used to making videos for small children. I just said, oh, I can do videos for other people. I hope I didn't sound too much like an elementary teacher. I wasn't professional at all. I got a lot of positive feedback from that. And I'm going to be honest, in the last couple years, I've kind of slowed down on the social media, and I know I probably need to do more. I think it would definitely help, but I'm grateful to have 2 young men who are my sons who help me behind the scenes, and they do remind me often that I need to push things out on social media. So I'm trying to do better, and I appreciate any of your encouragement in that field, because I do know it probably could help, and so I thank you for what you said today.
Marcia, do y'all use social media or technology? What do you use in your business to help y'all streamline or market?
Yes, so as far as going back to the technology question, so as far as streamlining, we are on board now with POS systems, which is all the technology that your business uses. Back when we started the restaurant, we were with pen and paper, writing your order, And, you know, that ticket goes up to the register and you press buttons and it's like a, you know, old register. That's how we started back then. The computer systems, the POS systems were super, super expensive. We had a lot of people, as far as staff, who weren't on board with that. We had to deal with some of the veterans that just didn't want to use the POS system. And we were kind of threatened to an extent that if we get a POS system, we're leaving. We're just not on board with that. I can't handle it. I can't learn it. Thankfully, they adapted and learned the system. And now every one of our businesses has a POS system, technology that has the menu on there, pricing, discounts, inventory, clock in, clock out. So those, you can get it on your phone, an app that reads everything, gives you reports, very crucial reports that you guys need to monitor your business on a day-to-day basis. And as far as social media, for sure, it's a necessary evil if some of you don't like it. So many people are on it. It's virtually free. It's cost effective. And it spreads like wildfire if you use it. So, you know, we don't manage it ourselves. It's so time consuming. I've tried it. I'll post. One post takes me, you know, a long time, which is why we've outsourced it. People do this. People are creative. Just, that's one of those things that you don't want to get bogged down with. Give it to somebody else, hire somebody else.
Yes, I agree. I think it is very time consuming for some of us, especially if we're older and learning that new technology. So if you're older, like some of us on the stage, then that might be overwhelming for you. I personally, in my business, because I'm a lawyer, have a ton of technology. So lots of different softwares, special software for the title company, which was a beast to learn and to work through. Special software, you know, I use Google Drive for most of my office suite stuff. But yes, I've got to worry about cybersecurity. I've got to worry about confidentiality. I've got to worry about encrypted emails. It is a lot. And on top of that, then, oh yeah, I've got to market my business too. So I've got to do social media. So let's talk a little bit about something that I personally have felt with social media, and I want to get your input, ladies. How do you handle the pressure to look a certain way on social media? Because social media, especially for, I'm going to just tell you, I'm 40-something, okay? And so social media was very intimidating for me. I am a newbie to social media. I had a personal Facebook page before, you know, and I had a business page that had no activity on Facebook. And then about a year and a half ago, I took the social media leap because I'm a curious, kind of a investigative research type personality, and I did recognize the need for it. But it took me such a long time to get into social media because of the intimidation factor. I am not young. I am not voluptuous. And so that was very intimidating for me personally. Ladies, what is your feeling on it, and how do we overcome some of those insecurities? Who wants to start? Go ahead, Rosemary.
So what I want to say is it took me a while to figure this out, that nobody else zooms in 25% to see you on social media except yourself. And I realized that it kind of took me a little while. Because you look at social media, and we live in a day and age where everybody's using filters, they're hiring people to do their Facebook pages, so things look very professional, very polished, and truthfully, none of us are that polished. And we tend to use those filters all the time. I'm almost 60. I'll be 60 this year. And I grew up during the age where we actually used cameras to take pictures. And then we would wait 2 and 3 weeks, or sometimes even a month, before we would develop the roll of film. And then we'd go through and pull out the ones we wanted, And then I can remember when we'd go pick it up, they would say, well, if you don't like the picture, we'll buy it back from you. And they would rip it up and shred it for you. I thought that was so cool. So sometimes I would, take a roll of 20 pictures and I'd say, oh, I'm so excited to get the pictures. And I'd come home with 3. So, but in today's day, we just have to realize that we're real, and that's what people want. And I don't want to intimidate people by having them think that I'm this perfect image. Yes, I want to look well put together. I want to look clean. I want to look organized. But we just have to be really careful when we put ourselves out there on social media, because we're not selling ourselves. What is the purpose of doing that post? What is the purpose of that advertisement? Is it to lift yourself up, or is it to have a purpose? You want to encourage your business. You want to get people's attention. You want to let them know what you have. That's what your motive should be. So for me, I'm going to be honest, it took me a little while, because I used to spend hours at a time trying to put together some sort of a little infomercial or commercial. I don't do that anymore, because now I just do it and post it, because
Ladies,
we're real.
Any other input?
Yeah, I have 3 Instagram accounts, 2 Facebook, 2 TikToks. So I'm really heavily active on social media. And I think the thing is, you just got to be real, right? So I have my personal Instagram, Life with Pam, and then I have the business, Lefa House, and then other ones as well. But the business, I really focus on the menu, dishes, promotions that we have, giveaways, using them that way. And then my personal account, I kind of just share my life, like what I do. And every time I share something, I ask myself, is this relatable? Is this educational? Is this something that's going to help me grow? Or I think of that. And sometimes I post just to even post too. So like I said earlier, don't think about it too much. Just kind of have fun with it. And that's what I've been doing, and it's been working for me. So,
Marcia, any input?
Yes, I'd just like to add that, it's a hard time with social media. Social media is wanting perfection. And you know what? It's too hard to be somebody else. Why? It's too hard. So just be yourself. At the end of the day, people will like you for you. So just be yourself.
I completely agree. And I think that there's, I think naturally some people are competitive and they think, well, I don't want to do it because I'm not going to have as many followers as X, who's also in my industry, or as Y, who's also in my industry. Don't worry about what other people and who they have following them. Worry about getting the right followers for you. If you have 100 people following you, and those 100 actually support your business and refer you clients, then those 100 are more crucial than 20,000 who don't even live in your community, or 20,000 that don't even live in your state, but are following you because of, whatever you look like. Worry about the quality over quantity, and that will help you get over that hump. Okay, you have 50 followers, but they're always liking your posts. They're always viewing your stuff. And that's what I have seen personally. Wherever I go, people say, oh my gosh, your social media is so fun. And if you look at my likes, I don't have a ton of likes on my posts, but clearly a lot of people are seeing them and my message is getting out there. So I encourage you not just to be a voyeur, but to like the post, to comment on the post for your friends and your family who run businesses. So I'm going to take a minute here to let these ladies shout out their business. Just give me one business page, okay? The one that you would like most people to follow. And that way you all can maybe by the end of the day go onto their social media and give them a follow, like a post. It does great for the algorithm. Give me your best social media.
Yes, sir. Our restaurant, Lefa House. It's spelled Lepho House, House.
Marcia?
Obviously, we're in Weslaco. I would love to advertise El Dorado Restaurant, and it's just as it's written behind me, El Dorado Restaurant Facebook page.
Facebook page, okay.
And mine is simple. It's Ted's Borderland Hardware.
And it's Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook.
Facebook, okay. So I've got, of course, a Facebook and Instagram and a TikTok, but I want to push my Instagram, which is, it should be under Benavides Law Firm with an S, okay? And you could look up Cynthia Benavides. But that one I kind of push general information, including quick legal tips, which a lot of the community has found helpful. So we're getting ready to get to the last few questions here. How am I doing on time over there? Got 10 minutes? Yeah? Okay, so Rosemary, let's talk a little bit about male-dominated sectors. Your sector's a little bit more male-dominated, is that correct? How has the work environment been, and how has that kind of affected you, and how have you dealt with it?
So if you walk in my store, most of the customers are male. If you walk in my store, most of my employees are also male. I only have one other female right now working in the store with me, and she's only there part-time. But I'm there quite a bit, and it is surprising what the looks that I get from men when they realize who I am walking around the store. Because often I will just be wearing my Ted's Borderland t-shirt like everyone else and my tennis shoes so I can get the job done. And people will say, "Oh, you work here?" So they're always surprised that I work there. And then secondly, they're really surprised when I say, "Well, yeah, I'm the owner." And they're like, "Oh," I get that kind of surprised look. I don't have all the answers for them when they come into the store. So for me, it's respecting the men when they come in and allowing them to talk with me and tell me what it is they're looking for. I often don't know the actual names of everything that I sell in the store. Which means that if you are a woman and you come into my store, we speak the same language. You can say thingamabob and, you know, that doohickey that does this, you know, they just describe it to me and I know exactly what they're talking about. Men typically come in and they use the right verbiage and they call things by what they're called. And I'm like, ooh, I don't know the answer to that, but I have an employee that does. And so I run and I get one of the employees that knows the business. I am fortunate enough to have 3 people who have been working at our store for over 100 years combined. And so they're very knowledgeable, and I let them know that they have the knowledge. And so I think it's just respecting men when they come in, and then also knowing my place and how to talk with them in a way that is professional. And I have to just be real careful not to be too touchy, or I have to be aware of how I dress so that they understand that I'm there to work and to serve them in that arena. So, yeah, working with men, I have been really, really fortunate because the men that I have encountered have been very kind and respectful.
Well, your industry is very different than mine. I work in a male-dominated sector. I'm a female. I'm an attorney. The law firm that I worked for prior to being out on my own, it was mostly male. There were 3 other females at the time I started, which was actually a lot considering we're in the Valley. And some of the issues that I encountered were, yes, I had a comment or two about, you know, at a golf, we weren't invited really to do some of the male events. So there was a male fishing trip every year. None of the women were invited, but our husbands were. And Alex, my husband, if you know my husband, I've often, during the time I worked at the firm, I often joked with him and I said, he would actually find out some information before I would. He didn't even work there. And it would annoy me. It would annoy the heck out of me. And I am not one to dress a certain way to appease them. I'm going to dress the way I want to dress, which is always very professional, but that shouldn't be a factor to my qualifications. I am going to, I know at the time, there was a woman who used to work there who made a comment about the fishing trip and why do the men only get to go? And that didn't go over so well because we're in a conservative environment here in the Valley. So I think we're hit with 2 things as women working in male-dominated environments. We're hit with the the boys club, and then we're hit with the cultural side, which is we are supposed to know our role and know our place. And that is for older women, I think, an easier pill to swallow. I'm middle generation, where I'm kind of 1 foot in the door with the older generation and 1 foot in the door with the younger generation. So I can still be respectful, but I think this younger generation is really, pushing the envelope, and in a good way. In a good way. And I'm glad to say that the firm that I work with, they were always very respectful, and I have nothing but respect for them. But I'm not going to sit here and say that there were not issues with the fact that I was a female, and that, they didn't even have a maternity policy, but thank God they were so sweet, they made one for me. And so I think that men are also shifting, and that they are starting to be a lot more inclusive, and realizing that, hey, what we did 10 years ago or 20 years ago is not okay anymore. And so I think as women in male-dominated industries, I think it's not something that we need to necessarily get offended at, but at the same time, we do need to educate our male counterparts and say, hey, man, that's not okay. We need to include the women in this trip, and men need to not take offense. So men in the room, I hope you hear this message. Include the women. Yes, women, we can all empower each other. We can do Fem City, we can do small business women, and things, but we need your support, men. We need you all to support us back. We need you all to include us, to invite us to those happy hours. We need you to give us work that you would normally give your male buddy who works in the law firm, and you guys go to lunch every day. All the men would go to lunch every day, and the women would all work through lunch because we had families to get to, and we usually weren't invited, right? And so I wanted to at least use this opportunity to be a little real with you, because we do experience it. They get to go to the happy hours, they drink together, and we're usually stuck not invited, or we're the ones that have to rush home to pick up our kids and get dinner ready, if we're in traditional relationships. So I challenge you men out there who are in professional environments that are male-dominated. I invite you men who are married to women who are professionals to support your women. Let them go to the happy hours every once in a while. Don't give them grief about it. If you're a husband or you're a boyfriend or a fiance, support your women who are trying to get out there and shake things up. And so let's close with a question. Well, actually, I think I have maybe the last 5 minutes here. So closing question, ladies. What advice would you give to other women who are considering starting their own business?
I'll start. Right now is the best time. I feel like there's so much great resources out there to get started. And also take the time to really learn leadership. That is crucial. Everything rises and falls under leadership. So leadership, and have a really clear vision of what it is that you want. Have that business plan and just do it, right? Just learn from trial and error and just make it happen, figure it out.
I agree with that. As far as starting a business and so forth, women in leadership, I encourage you again, and I reiterate as far as what I was saying before, research. Don't set yourself up to fail. Do your homework, research, analyze. Is it the best for you, for your family? Look far ahead, and then just, again, analyze and research what you're wanting to get into.
So for me, I didn't start the business. I kind of walked into it, and it was already moving. And so I had to assess for a year and try to figure it out, and then sit tight for another year before I made any changes. And now we're starting to make changes, which are taking a big risk. Running a business is a risk, and it is scary, especially when you don't know anything about business, because that's not what you've ever done. And so for me, when I was at my highest sense of anxiety, my husband was getting ready to pass, and my father-in-law, who is an attorney and many, many years of a businessman, he told me, you don't have to know everything. and you don't have to do everything. He said, you just need to make sure that you know who to ask and that you're not afraid to learn. And so for me, that's what I would say to you. If you want to take the risk, just make sure that you get some people in your corner to help you and that you have people who can mentor you through the process.
Perfect. And my last piece of advice to you who are considering opening a small business is that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Okay? Yes, make a plan. Don't just say, I quit and I'm starting. Make a plan, but don't plan so hard that you fail to actually take the risk. If you're thinking about it, make a plan. Talk to somebody else who has a small business. Small business owners are overly generous with our time. I don't know how many future lawyers I've taken to lunch just so that they can ask me questions. We'll take the time to talk to you. And like Rosemary said, get a team in place, but take the shot. If you have that in your heart to start a business, you have this idea that's brewing in there, take the shot. Thank you all so much for listening to these ladies. They're brilliant. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Thank you.